Good evening again. Ministers, journalists, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Christian Summit 2017. The summit is taking place to mark the 50th anniversary to the reunification of Jerusalem, the eternal capital of Israel, and in honor of the city, which about, it is said, 10 measures of beauty descended to the world, 9 were taken by Jerusalem. We hope to strengthen cooperation with the Christian community and the Christian media, which we view as a vital and professional channel of information to Christian viewers, readers, and internet users across the globe. We hope to continue to build the channel of communication with the Christian media, one that is of value to both sides. The summit will focus in depth on the different aspects of Jerusalem in the past, present, and future, the issues and challenges facing in Israel, in the world media, and many more fascinating topics as an answer to those who doubt the connection that cannot be severed between the Jewish nation and its land for nearly 4,000 years. Participants, including senior publishers, writers, and editors, who formulate the agenda of thousands of Christian communities around the world, are gathered here to discuss the important issues alongside Israeli media personnel and public opinion leaders. I'm sure that the state of Israel has a warm place in your hearts, and that you will find the benefit of this magnificent conference. As a TV anchor and a journalist here in Israel, I can assure you that many of the topics that will be discussed and covered here in this conference are beneficial, constructive, and useful in so many ways, and not only in the Israeli context. But without further ado, please welcome Mr. Nitzan Chen, Director of the Government Press Office. The Government Press Office, GPO, yes, please. The GPO is responsible on behalf of the Prime Minister's Office for coordination between the government of Israel and the community of journalists and media personnel working in Israel. For the Foreign Press Corps, the GPO serves as the central address for contact with the government and the Israel Defense Forces. Mr. Chen, please.
Thank you very much, Miri Michaeli, our host for tonight. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to extend a very warm and hearty welcome on behalf of the Israeli Government Press Office. We are delighted that you have decided to clear your schedule and attend this phenomenal summit, and hope you will enjoy taking part in the outstanding lineup of events just as much as we enjoy preparing them for you. Our hope is that by gathering so many media professionals together for the next few days, they won't just talk shop, but reinforce our ties culturally, professionally, and morally between Israel and the Christian community worldwide. We hope this connection will forge an added dimension to our relationship, and we will all find the summit mutually beneficial to our understanding of the real facts on the ground. Our program is filled with interesting and influential speakers who come from different parts of the Israeli political spectrum. We will hear from ministers and members of the Knesset, army and security experts, legal professionals, and senior journalists, and they will all cover topics relevant and sensitive to the indirect fabric of the Israeli reality. I am sure that they will stimulate thought and robust debate, but that, of course, is our job as journalists. Moreover, the tours we have prepared for you are designed to open a window into an understanding of Israel in and beyond the conflict, an opportunity for you to see behind the headlines, so to speak. Likewise, the city of Jerusalem, with its diverse fusion of old and new, technology and spirituality, conflict and concord, are central to our summit. We are immensely proud and honored to show you Jerusalem, which has become the innovative, forward-looking capital it is today. And last but not least, I would like to thank the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage. Special thanks to you, Minister Ze'ev Elkin, and your Director, Ran Ishai, who together dedicated a great deal of resources and time to ensure the success of this summit. In addition, thank you to our colleagues at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and at the Jerusalem Municipality who have helped in so many ways in the preparation of various parts of this summit. Thank you all, and may I take this opportunity to wish you, my colleagues and friends, a stimulating and enjoyable few days, and I look forward to hearing your feedback at any time. God bless us all, and toda rabah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chen. I would like to invite to stage Mr. Ran Ishai, Director General of the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage. The Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage is responsible for strengthening Jerusalem as the capital of Israel in all aspects: tourism, academia, technology, and more. Mr. Ishai, please.
Good evening, everybody. Minister Ze'ev Elkin, Minister of Jerusalem and Heritage, Ambassador Yuval Rotem, Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Dear guests, I'm not going any further because I always forget someone and it gets me into trouble. Occasionally, we take many things for granted. In our life, we're lucky to take prosperity and freedom and tranquility and friendship for granted. And not everybody are as lucky to take these things for granted. And I think that from time to time it's good to take a step backwards and to observe and appreciate what we have. The first Jubilee for the liberation and reunification of Jerusalem is a very good moment for doing so and to acknowledge the remarkable differences between the situation 50 years ago and now, and 70 years ago and now. And I thank you very much for sharing this moment, this occasion with us. I would like to thank Minister Ze'ev Elkin and the staff of the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage for having this event. I would like to thank as well the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I would like to thank Nitzan Chen and the special crew, the fine crew of the government press office, from the Prime Minister's office, and to thank you all once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ishai. Please welcome Mr. Yuval Rotem, Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry is in charge of formulating the foreign policy of the Israeli government and the way Israel is portrayed in the world. Mr. Rotem, please.
Minister Ze'ev Elkin, dear friends and colleagues from the Christian media. It is quite inappropriate that this conference is taking place shortly after Yom Kippur, as we are aiming to correct an historic wrong in the way we work in explaining Israel to the world. One often mistakenly believes that it is most important to address one's critics, when in fact it is not less important to address one's friends, and probably it is even more important. This gathering of Christian media in Jerusalem, at the invitation of the Israeli government, it is something very unique. And frankly, I was quite surprised when I was informed by my staff that no such gathering of Christian media in Israel has taken place in recent memory. We view the Christian media in much way. We view the Jewish media covering Israel as the work of serious journalists committed to communicating a complex story to their readers in the most accurate way possible, but also as a media which is committed to the story itself, a media which believes that the drama of Israel is not another story, but one of universal significance for the world and mankind. In this sense, I believe that when Israel is covered unfairly and unduly criticized, this is not bad only for Israel. It's bad for everyone, and we are not interested in being given a pass. Israel wants to receive fair coverage and nothing more than that. In the coming 3 days, we look forward to offering you tools to better know Israel, to have better access to Israel, and to better cover the stories that happen here. We will also be listening to you with open ears to understand what we do to facilitate your work and what we should be doing to make Israel better understood. My colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Akiva Tor and Sharon Regev, will be here throughout most of the summit. Please seek them and make them use of them. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in this endeavor. Nitzan Chen of the Government Press Office and his staff, and Rani Shai and his staff at the Ministry of Jerusalem Affairs and Heritage. Please enjoy your time here, and I hope it will prove most beneficial to you and to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rotem. I would like to introduce Jürgen Buller, Executive Director of the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem, to welcome his wife, Vesna Buller, who will deliver the musical performance of the night. Mr. Buller.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a joy to welcome you on behalf of the International Christian Embassy here in Jerusalem. I want to commend and congratulate the Prime Minister's Office, the Government Press Office, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also the Ministry of Jerusalem Affairs for this amazing idea and historic idea to gather us all together here in the city of Jerusalem. Thank you so much for doing that. It's a great joy and a privilege for me to introduce the singer tonight. Vesna Buller was born in Serbia. She was growing up in Germany and moved to Israel with her husband and family in the year 1994. She has been living here in this land and writing music, recording records, and traveling the whole world with Hebrew music that she was writing herself. She's married to Jürgen Buller, and I know very well that her husband is very proud on her tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please help me to welcome Vesna Buller on the stage tonight?
Thank you very much. And it's a very special year that we have 50 years of the reunification of Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. So listen now to the Mizrahi kind of Mediterranean hymn of Jerusalem.
Shamechi Yerushalayim et Adonai Halleli Elohayich Zion Shamechi Yerushalayim et Adonai Halleli Elohayich Zion Share בחסדיך ואמונתך בלילות עלי אסור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בחינו כי שימחתני אדוני כי שימחתני בפועלך עלי אסור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בחינו כי שימחתני אדוני הללויה הללויה שם אדוני אישנו אלוהינו נריז השמש עד הנבואות נעולה של אדוני הללויה שם אדוני אישנו אלוהינו נריז השמש עד הנבואות נעולה של אדוני נעולה של אדוני הללויה את
Thank you so much. May I introduce... I can't hear myself. May I introduce to you Yilmaz, our violin player, Alan on the guitar, Phil on the piano, Avi at the bass, and Gabriel Eisenman. I want to tell something for the next song. It's very personal for me because many years ago, when I was traveling with my parents in my birth country, Serbia, my father turned on the radio, and as a child I was so struck by this song. It was a man that was singing to his beloved wife, and he called her the dove, but in a Slavic language, maybe some of you may know Russian, you can even say it more beautiful, like a dovey or something, you could translate it. And many years later, when we arrived to Israel, God gave me a melody, a beautiful melody, and I thought this could be a beautiful love song of God to his people, but I couldn't really find the words, how he could describe his people. And I mean, this was kind of a miracle. A dove came flying, and he just sat maybe 2 meters from me away, and I thought, this is it. God calling after his beautiful dove. The word for dove in Hebrew is Yonah, like Yonah that went far away, but God is calling him back. So, hi Yonah.
וחלפו להם הגשמים. קומי רעייתי שובי אליי. לקבץ בנייך כציפורת גוזליה בצל כנפיי. כמה פעמים ניסיתי להתקלות אלייך, אך עד לא רצתי. שמע אני ישראל, יונתי העפר שלי, הנה את מראך, והשמיעיני את קולך. הנה הסתיו הבא, וחלפו להם הגשמים. קומי רעייתי שובי אליי.
The words of a psalm, the psalm of the pilgrimage, Psalm 120. It's literally, you can read it if you have your Bible somewhere. Yes, please. We're using it, the Jewish people are using it for the Aliyah, when you go up to Jerusalem. That's the song is called Shir HaMa'alot. There is the word Aliyah.
שיר למעלות, ישר עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעם השם, עושה שמיים בארץ, אל יתן לעמוד רגליך. שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. השם שומרך, השם צילך אל יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה. השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. השם ישמור את צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. מעתה ועד עולם.
Thank you very much, Vesna. That was wonderful. Uplifting is the word, I think. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our guest of honor, the Prime Minister of Israel, who has been elected to lead and serve Israel a record 4 times, and who has presided during periods of new heights for Israel and its citizens, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. All rise.
תודה. Thank you. תודה רבה. Thank you. Thank you very much. תודה רבה. I want to say a few words in Hebrew. You know Hebrew. It's the language of the Bible. And then we'll switch to English. אין צבא יותר מוסרי מצה"ל. זאת עובדה. ולכן החלטנו היום החלטה חשובה להקים ועדה פרלמנטרית, ועדת חקירה פרלמנטרית, לבדיקת נושא המימון של מדינות זרות לארגונים שפועלים נגד חיילי צה"ל. אנחנו נשים לזה סוף. החיילים שלנו שומרים עלינו, ואנחנו נשמור עליהם. I want to welcome you all to Jerusalem, the eternal united capital of the Jewish people. You know, you are joining us as we celebrate 50 years since the Holy City was liberated and united, 50 years of religious freedom for all. You know that because you walk around, you go to the holy sites, you go to the churches, others go to the mosques, and you know this is a free city. I want you also to join us in looking forward to the day when the embassies of all your countries move to Jerusalem. Israel has no better friends, I mean that, no better friends in the world than the Christian communities around the world. And Israel is the one country in a vast region where Christians not only survive, they thrive. You know the truth about Israel's history and the truth about our commitment to freedom. Freedom is under challenge all the time. And I think it scored a big victory the other day. I want to thank President Trump for his courageous speech outlining a new course against Iran, the enemy of our free civilization. Iran is a threat to the entire world, but today I want to focus on Iran's war against Christians. As you all know, Christians are brutally persecuted in the Islamic Republic. Pastors are jailed for no reason other than for being Christian leaders. Christians have been lashed. You hear this? Christians have been lashed for sipping wine during prayer services. Christians have been brutally tortured for doing nothing more than practicing their faith. Now, some world leaders are willing to ignore this repression and seek to appease Iran, but I am not one of them. I think that how a country treats religious minorities is a very good indicator of how it will treat its other citizens and its neighbors. So today I have a simple request for the media outlets in this room. Dedicate this week to highlighting the plight of the countless Christians suffering under Iran. Profile the brave Christian leaders jailed for practicing their faith. Sit with the families of the school teachers jailed for years merely for converting to Christianity. Call out the lie and the lies of President Rouhani, who promised in 2013 that all religions would, quote, feel justice in Iran while so many Christians live there in constant terror. And I want to thank you for what you're doing, taking your part and doing your part to stand up for religious freedom. Thank you for highlighting the danger of the terrorist regime in Iran. Thank you for telling the truth about Israel's pluralistic democracy. Thank you for standing with Israel. We all are deeply grateful. Thank you.
The Prime Minister will take some questions. Those who are asking, please introduce himself. Mike Evans, you will be the first. Please.
Mr. Prime Minister,
Mike, you stand tall.
Good to see you, my friend. The influence of this Christian media group is much greater than ABC, NBC, and CBS combined, and there's no fake news here. The question I want to ask you is concerning Iran. Tell us the influence that they're having with the terror, with Hamas, with Hezbollah, and in Syria, in light of the president's courageous stand.
Well, I think there are two issues that the president was concerned with, and we're all concerned with, and coincidentally, on this, Israel and the leading Arab states see eye to eye. And I said today in interviews on American television, I said, you know, when Israel and the main Arab countries see eye to eye, you know, you should pay attention because something important is happening. We're here. We know what we see. Here's what we see. We see two great dangers emanating from Iran. The first danger is the danger of a nuclear-armed Iran, which is virtually guaranteed if this agreement is not changed or scrapped, because that's where it's leading. It's leading not merely to Iran's capability to have an atomic weapon, one bomb. It virtually opens up the field so that they can have, within a decade, 100 bombs, a vast nuclear arsenal. And this is Iran, which is, its economy is 30 times the size of North Korea. So you can imagine the world's foremost terrorist regime armed with an arsenal of nuclear weapons. Is that going to produce peace? Is that going to produce progress? Because people said, well, if Iran signs this deal 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they were negotiating this deal, and they were arguing for it, they said, once Iran signs this deal, many said that it would join the community of nations. So Iran received the first installment of about $50 billion coming into its coffers. And what did they do? They didn't join the community of nations. They're devouring the nations, one after the other. They're in Yemen, firing rockets deep into Saudi Arabia. They're in Iraq, killing people, now squeezing the Kurds. They're in Syria, colonizing Syria, and they intend to turn Syria into a military base for their war of destruction against Israel. Well, clearly we will not tolerate it, and we will act against any threats to our security. And I think people understand that we back this up with words, with these words, with deeds. I think people know that. But I think the fact that President Trump focused the world's attention on Iran's dual threat, the nuclear threat of a deal that, unless challenged, would lead to a nuclear Iran, and the conventional threat of an Iran, an aggressive Iran, that is spreading terrorism and aggression throughout this region. And I think that the resoluteness with which he put forward this case yesterday made a big impression. I'll tell you on who it made a big impression. It made a big impression on America's allies here, and it made a big impression on Iran. They should be worried, justly so.
Who wants?
Mr. Prime Minister, Chris Mitchell, Bureau Chief for CBN News, and I know I speak for the Christian media here. Thank you for making this summit possible. As a follow-up to Iran, I just came back from Kurdistan, and many people saw firsthand the growing influence of the Shiite militias and the growing influence of Iran. And they're concerned about a Shiite arc going from Tehran all the way to the Mediterranean. Can you address their concerns, the decision by the Trump administration to decertify the Iranian nuclear deal and the referendum for independence that was just a few weeks ago? And one follow-up question, Mr. Prime Minister. Many people may not know that Israel sends relief teams, search and rescue teams to earthquake places like Mexico, the hurricanes in Houston and Florida. With all the problems facing Israel, why does Israel feel obligated to reach out with humanitarian aid to the nations?
Because we're allied unto the nations. That's the great fulfillment of that great prophecy. And in fact, that's what Israel is doing. It's doing it in places like Haiti or in the Philippines or in Mexico. I mean, you should hear what the people in Mexico said about Israel. I recently spoke to President Nieto Peña Nieto from Mexico. He called me up and he said, I want you to know how grateful the people of Mexico are. And you saw that in the Mexican media. They just love Israel. I mean, I was there between two earthquakes, just in a stitch of time, a few days. And I saw how receptive and how warm the people of Mexico were to Israel before the earthquake. And then, you know, they saw this mission that came, taking some risk, considerable risk, and going through the rubble and trying their best to salvage whatever could be salvaged. And the people really warmed up to that. And you see that elsewhere. In many places around the world. You see it in Tibet. Same thing. Our mission in Mexico was the first to come and the last to leave. Our mission in Tibet was the second largest mission, in Nepal, was the second largest mission in the world. The first was India. It's closer, it's, bigger. But ours was the second largest in the world. And people say, well, what do you do? I mean, what is it that you get out of it? And the answer is, we're not getting out of it anything. We're fulfilling our deepest values. Israel is a light unto the nations. Now you talk about those who want to extinguish that light, Iran. Yes, it wants to build a Shiite ark to create, it's working on, which is Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. I said in the UN a few weeks ago that what they want, from Tehran to Tartus, from Iran to the Mediterranean, they want this Shiite ark to colonize it and control it. And everyone's concerned. All the countries, except Assad, I think everybody is really concerned and wants to stop it because this is an act of unadulterated aggression. They're trying to import, get this, they're trying to import Shiite militias that are now trying to choke the Kurds in Kirkuk. Shiite militias, Afghans, Pakistanis, under Iranian command, and they want to bring them also right next to the Golan Heights. That's what, this is colonization of the worst kind. And this is intimidation and subjugation of the worst kind. But that's what Iran is about. So obviously we all sympathize with the Kurds, we understand this, and we are absolutely determined to defend ourselves against this aggression.
Okay, last question.
Mr. Prime Minister, it's on the books now that I'll see you on Tuesday for your interview with Mike Huckabee that's there at the Knesset. But he's going to ask you about the moving of the
Are you giving
embassy.
me a promo?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a heads up on what he's going to ask you. But it's no secret that your relationship with our former President Obama was a bit different. How's it going with Trump now? That's what we're concerned about. How is your relationship with Donald Trump going now?
Our relationship is fine. It's excellent, actually. And there's, I think, a sense of warmth and an instinctive understanding on many important things. Now, mind you, I want you to put this also in perspective. Yes, I had some differences, like on Iran and a few other things, with President Obama, but it didn't really alter the solidity of the American-Israeli alliance. We also signed an MOU that I appreciate. I don't forget. It was important. So I think there's a basic alliance there that transcends differences that we may have over particular issues. But the issue of Iran wasn't just another issue. The issue of Iran is existential for us. And I felt compelled to take our case to the American Congress because that deal, so-called deal, is a direct threat to our future, to our existence. I think there's been a change with regard to this central issue because I think President Trump correctly identifies that Iran is not the solution, but perhaps the problem in the Middle East. The problem, the source of so much aggression, so much terror, so much misery. And he took a very courageous step yesterday because what he did was, he could have kicked the can forward. He could have said, well, it's not going to happen on my watch, so why should I deal with it? You know, Iran will become a nuclear power with a nuclear arsenal, if we just let the deal go through, but it won't happen on my watch. But he said, no. It's the duty of leaders, and it's perhaps the most difficult duty of leaders, to ward off danger before it becomes apparent to everyone. Because when it becomes apparent to everyone, it may be too late. And so I really appreciate what he did yesterday on this point, which is obviously very important for Israel, but also I think very important for the United States and for the future of the world. The relationship is good. I want to thank you all for your continual support for the State of Israel. I think when you and your readers and viewers and listeners, when they look at the Middle East and they see the forces that are aligned against the values we hold dear, you see a beacon of light, a towering beacon of light. Israel is not that big a country, you know that. It's a small country, but it's a gigantic country because we stand on the shoulders of giants. The giants of the Bible, the giants of Jewish history, the people who gave us our deepest values, which we share and which we cherish. I want to thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your eloquent and impassioned words. Now, dear friends, we're not going to let you leave the Holy Land without a present. So our gift to you is a souvenir, a picture with the Prime Minister that he will take right now with all of you. We will make sure you get it. Please do not forget to smile. This is very important. Yeah. Please be seated. We will now take the picture with the Prime Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. All rise. I know you're all probably jet-lagged, but I would still like to encourage you all to join us on a Jerusalem nightlife tour. Sip a cold beer with a view of Jerusalem and the old city walls before diving into the intensive and interesting panels ahead of us in the next few days. Enjoy the rest of your evening in this amazing conference. Thank you very much and good night. Oh, and there's dessert right when you exit this hall. Good night. Thank you.